Hello Infiniteers, and welcome back to my Halloween Takeover toy box. Last time we added all of the buildings for our miniature Disneyland park, and since then, as you can see, I have been busy adding in all of the plants and decorations. So let me give you a quick aerial tour of the toy box so that you can see what it is that I've done. And if you're building this along with me, you can pause this video along the way and copy what I've built. After that, we will start working on transforming this toy box. So it'll be a little bit longer episode today, but I think it'll be worth it. Alright, so at the beginning of the level, I have added in the plant clusters here. And again, these are the first 9 pieces out of the plants drawer. And notice their orientation. You can look at the terrain seams. You can look at the patterns on the terrain to see where I've placed them. You can also look at the little flowers and decorations on these to see how I've rotated them. And I have placed down these little picket fence pieces. These are out of the decorations drawer. They're from Stitch's Tropical Rescue from 2.0. And in a toy box like this, you can't transform everything. Not everything is themable, and we only have so much replayer memory. So for things that you can't remove and you can't change, it's a good idea to pick things that will look good in both themes. And these picket fences look really good in both themes. So I put a bunch of straight pieces here along the edge and along here. And then we put some plants in here. Again, notice the orientations and the terrain on the ground. And I'll pause long enough that you can pause the video and get a nice sharp picture so you can see how these things are oriented and where they're placed. Over in Frontierland, you can see why I was a little picky last time in placing this building, because I needed to make sure I had room for that plant cluster. And then over at the castle, and in the middle, and here I've placed the partner statue out of the set pieces category. You have to have a magic band to unlock this. If you do not have that and you aren't able to unlock this, then you could use a fountain or a statue. I would recommend using this plant cluster in its place. Put that in there, and when this is themed, I believe it transforms into a fountain that'll look good, and it'll also transform when we switch this to Halloween. But I like the partner statue because that's what belongs there. But anyway, you can see how the plants are placed in this part of the toy box. And then at Frontierland, and over at the Matterhorn, this is one terrain strip. This is number 2. This is terrain strip number 1. Now these are these pieces, but you cannot put these down Because you'll notice the ramp there highlights in red, so I had to theme these two pieces to put those in. And this is the park theme that I'm going to set to the rest of the pieces here. I'm going to set these on all of these pieces, so you don't have to worry about which theme that is. I will show you. And actually, let me just do that right now because you're not going to see this particular theme. But this is the landscaped lamp. It doesn't say park in it. So I put those down, and then this is the Sleepy Hollow Bridge out of the set pieces. A couple more plant clusters. And then over on this side of the bridge, and these two plant clusters here. There's a little tree here, and then the last ones are over here. Okay, and I did not put any along the back here because we're going to need the space for the Halloween Town buildings later, and we don't want the bounding box here colliding with anything when we take it in and out with the replayer later. Alright, so that is everything, I believe. And now let's go ahead and theme. And you can pick any one of these you want. We're going to use these pieces here, okay? And depending on what piece you pick is going to determine what you see there. But it's the park pieces. And I'm going to theme all. Are you sure? Yes. Again, we can only use one plant cluster theme for the entire toy box. So there we go. That is what our park looks like in its pristine form. Okay, and by the way, the sky changer and theme changer and the replayer that were sitting here, I moved those over here, and we'll get to these in a little bit. You can see I've also added down a few extra creative toys. But with that, the pristine version of the toy box is done. And at this point, we need to save our toy box before we go any further. So let me do that. And I have two versions of this that I've been keeping. This is the one I just loaded. This is the older one, so I'm going to overwrite my older one now. And this shouldn't take very long to save. And then we're going to work on transforming this toy box into the Halloween version. And this is going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so there we go. If we screw it up, we have something to go back to. Now, first thing we want to do is pick up the replayer that I put down over here. And we need to put a pair of these in each area of the toy box. One is going to be for the buildings we have now. The other is going to be for the Halloween buildings. And we just need one here for the Jack-in-the-Box. Because we're just going to take it out. There's nothing to replace it with. We'll put down a couple of replayers over here. We can't do the castle because, again, replayer memory is limited. So we're going to put down 2 replayers for Tomorrowland, 2 replayers for the Matterhorn, none for the castle, and 2 for Fantasyland. And we'll drop these over here. Okay. And as I'm looking at this, I think I forgot a couple of trees here. Let me pull up my screen grab and just double check that. Not that these are necessarily critical, but I want to make sure I have them, and yeah, I did forget. Let's pull these replayers out of the way here. I thought I had them all, but I missed a couple. Okay, first one is going to sit here off the end of the Matterhorn, about like so. I think we want to center it in the walkway here. And I don't think the orientation matters. Yeah, that is the orientation I had. Good. All right, then we're going to put another one down on the opposite corner down here. Like that. And let's just go ahead and theme these. At this point, I should probably save my toy box, but if I mess up, I can come back and put those in again later. Okay, so there we go. We have our replayers. And what you're going to want to do is go into the properties for every one of these and take the playback interval to 0. Okay, and I will do that offline a little bit later, but make sure you do that for every replayer. Okay, so for Main Street, USA, we're going to step on the first one, and we'll use, as we're facing what we're going to take out, we'll use the one on the left for the pristine version, the one on the right for the Halloween Town version. Stepping on the replayer gives me the menu in the lower right corner. On my Wii U, I press B to start recording. And now what we're going to do is pick up each of the buildings and just put it back. So we can place all of these ahead of time, get it all the way we want, and then just do this to record them in the replayer. And this is a little bit tedious, but I think this is the best way to do it, because you don't want to be fiddling with the placement of these things while you're recording. That's kind of bad. All right, so there we go. 8 pieces we did with that. So we stop recording now, and we clear. Okay? We're not going to do anything with that one yet. For Frontierland, the only building we're going to take out of here is Thunder Mountain. So we'll step on this replayer on the left, start recording, step off so we can get back in the editor. We're going to pick this up and put it back and exit out of the editor. Come back over to our replayer. Stop recording, A to clear. And then for Tomorrowland, same thing. Step on the replayer. Start recording. And then just pick up pieces and put them back. Be very careful how you do this so you don't do the same piece twice. That would be kind of bad. Okay, so that is all the Tomorrowland buildings. come back to our replayer. Stop recording. A to clear. And then we'll do the same over at the Matterhorn. Now this one, we do have one little problem. We've got a couple pieces of rail slide sitting here that might cause a problem when we go to pick this Matterhorn up and put it back. So what I want to do is slide both of these up out of the way before we start recording, so that these will not cause us any problem. Now those are outside of the bounding box. Okay, so now we'll step on the replayer. Start recording. Pick up the Matterhorn. Put it back. Come back out of the editor. Stop recording. A to clear. Alright, now we can put these rail slide pieces back. Okay, one area left to go, and that is Fantasyland. And just before I do that, I want to just double check one thing. Yeah, that's not going to interfere with these trees over here. Okay. And this is far enough back where the bounding box for this isn't going to collide with that. Okay. So step on the replayer, start recording. Pick up the lighthouse, put it back. Pick up Rapunzel's tower, put it back. Pick up Splash Mountain, put it back. So just 3 pieces here. All right, and then we will stop recording. A to clear. All right, there we go. All of the pieces that we're going to take out are now in a replayer. And we can play them back and take them out at will. Okay, now that those buildings are out of the way, let's put down the Halloween Town buildings that we want to replace them with. And you'll find these, most of them, in Building Sets Group 3. And they're over here. So this graveyard piece will sit where Thunder Mountain used to sit. We can just place this in here. Doesn't have to be precise. The Jack-in-the-Box, we know we want this over here with the little logo on the front facing that way. And I'm going to put it right on the seam between these two walls there. This we're going to put over here at Tomorrowland. And let me get the exact placement of these things. Okay, so we're going to put this up right here. And another one on the other side. With the gate in the middle. If we can find it. Here we go. Like that. Okay, the iconic curly hill, that's going to sit over here. We got a huge area to fill, but we can't really do a lot because, again, Space Mountain takes up a ton of space and we don't have enough replayer memory to put down a ton of things. So we're just going to kind of center that in that area. This makes a really good replacement for that Tomorrowland building. I want to make sure this sits in here and doesn't cause any issues. And I like the spooky treehouse as a replacement for this is kind of picky where it sits, but I guess we'll put it right there. I like that as a replacement for Dex's Diner. So that looks pretty good. Okay, for these buildings, we'll put this one back here. Not that one, but this one. This is where we'll find Maleficent later. And let me just make sure I put this where I want to. There we go. This makes a good one to sit about right there. This makes a good replacement for the lighthouse. And I think somewhere in there is good. These are good for the Main Street USA buildings. And there's a bunch of different pieces here we can choose from. Let me get my screen grabs here. I want to duplicate this like I had it, because I like the way this turned out. Right, so this one is going to sit right in here, about like that. This one's going to sit right next to it, like that. We'll put this one right here. This one on the end. We kind of have to space these out a little bit because they're narrower than the Main Street USA buildings. And then on this side we'll place one of these here on that corner. Bring this up and put it near the front there. Put that one there. This one on the end. And I think there's, yeah, some roof pieces down here. So we have some choices of things we can put here. Let's see, we'll do this one that way. And that one other side. Put it with the chimney on the front. And like that. Okay, so we have our new version of Main Street USA. We have the little graveyard piece over there. We have all of those in. Oh, we're missing the Matterhorn piece. Well, let's see, where was that piece? Here it is. Halloween Town City Block. It's a nice big piece that I think can sit in here. And yeah, I think that's pretty good. Sorry, I was looking at my screen grab to make sure I had it in the right spot. Okay, and then we got our pieces out there. And I would love to put a piece in here. But when I tried to do that, I was trying to put Jack Skellington's house in here. And the bounding box for this is a little bit big. And finding a place where I could put this where it wouldn't be a problem was a problem. I did manage to do it by changing the theme on these plants here and moving things around a little bit, but when I went to restore it, it doesn't restore because sometimes these trees haven't changed yet and it just isn't very reliable. So I chose to leave that open. Okay, so that is everything. And now we're going to do the same thing that we did before. But now we're going to do it with the other replayer, the one on the right. So again, we'll start recording. And we'll just pick each of these pieces up, put them back. So just 3 here in Fantasyland. And then we'll come out of the editor. Step on our replayer. Stop recording and clear. And we'll go ahead and play back the original. Be sure to clear only one time. Be sure to play back only one time. And at the Matterhorn, step on this replayer. Pick that piece up, put it back. Stop recording, clear. Play back the Matterhorn. It doesn't have a problem putting it back with the rail slide pieces up there, so that's really good. Now we'll come over to Tomorrowland. Step on our replayer. Start recording. And we'll do all of these pieces. That's a good spooky Tomorrowland kind of building, I think. Looks like a futuristic building. so there's Tomorrowland. So now we'll come out of the editor, step on the replayer. Gotta wait for that little thing in the corner that was spinning, and we'll stop recording and clear and play back the original. By the way, playing back the original helps us verify that the replayers are working properly and we haven't corrupted them. Alright, so on this one, we will start recording. Pick that up, put it back. That's the only piece this replayer here is going to do. Stop recording, clear. That takes it out, and we have no other pieces to replace it with, so we're done there. Nothing to play back over there. And for this hill, start recording. Pick it up, put it back. That's the only piece we're doing here. Stop recording, clear. Play back the Thunder Mountain Railroad. Alright, and the last replayers we need are for Main Street, USA. Step on this one, record. We got 16 pieces here we got to do. I think we'll do the bottom ones first. I'll come back and do the roofs. Because even though we take the playback interval to 0, it still takes a little while to play all these back. So if we get the bottom ones in first, I think it'll look a little bit more like something's happening. And again, be careful not to pick the same piece up twice and put it back. And one more to go. That's where you can run into trouble. I almost picked up that bottom piece. Okay. Stop recording, clear, playback. Okay, so at this point, all of the buildings we want to replace are replaceable, and all of the buildings we want to replace them with can be put in. Now let's hook up the logic to transform the park. And I know this is a longer episode today. We're already after the half-hour mark here, but we can't stop at this point without seeing how all of this comes together. So we're going to come up to the Creativitoys here. And actually, I've already placed the ones that I need out here. So I have added down a sound effects toy out of the gameplay toys, 2 logic gates, and a time delayer. All right? And we have our theme transformer that we put down in the first build episode, as well as the sky changer. And before we do anything, we need our power discs now. So I'm going to put on the base my terrain theme power disc, Jack's Scary Decorations. I do not want to change my toy box to that theme. And we'll put down the sky. And I'm going to leave both of those on the base. And let's go ahead and put the sky here back. Okay. Now, under the Creativitoys, the one thing I did not put down was a trigger area. So let's do that. And the idea here is I want the trigger area to stretch over the whole entrance here where the player is going to be. They're not going to be able to get out of here without exiting that trigger area. And I wanted it to extend a little bit beyond the edge of the entrance there, because I want them to start to enter the park a little bit. So about like that. All right, so the logic for the transformation is actually not very difficult, which is why I wanted to do that today. So a new logic connection, when exited by player, any. So they're going to come into the toy box in this trigger area. So when they walk out of it, that is when we're going to trigger the transformation logic. So the first thing we'll do is come over to our sky changer, go down to hexagonal power discs, and select the Halloween Town sky. Next thing the trigger area will do is a new logic connection when exited by player, any. Come over to the theme transformer and we'll go into world theme, terrain, and we're looking for Jack's Scary Decorations. That will change all of the terrain in the toy box to that theme. On the trigger area, new logic connection when exited by player, any. There's a couple more things we want to change, but we can't make another connection directly to the theme transformer. That's why we have these logic gates out here. So we'll input into the first gate, and on that logic gate, a new logic connection on output. We'll come over to our theme transformer, and we're going to go into world theme. We're going to go into the population clusters, which are the plant clusters. And we're going to change this to Jack's Scary Decorations. That's why we need that power disc. On the trigger area, new logic connection when exited by player, any. Come over to the second logic gate here and input. And on output from that gate, we'll go to the rail slide pieces, and we want to use the Halloween Town rails. Okay. All right. And then we need to clear all of the replayers for the park. So new logic connection when exited by player, any. And be careful which replayer you use. So again, as you're facing the attraction, it's the one on the left. That's the one we want to clear. If you clear a replayer that has already been cleared, you're going to corrupt the replayers. So be careful which one you use. New logic connection when exited by player, any. There's nothing to clear here, because there's nothing here we got to take out. But we want to take out Thunder Mountain Railroad, so we'll clear that replayer. On the trigger area, new logic connection when exited by player any. Come over to Tomorrowland. Clear that replayer. New logic connection on the trigger area when exited by player any. We'll come clear the Matterhorn. And one more to go for Fantasyland. New logic connection when exited by player any. Come over here. Clear that replayer. All right, that will take out all of the buildings that we want to replace. And it's going to take a few seconds to do that. And so before we put down the new pieces, we want to wait a little bit to give those time to clear. So we're going to use a time delayer for that. And I'm going to set the properties on this to be 5 seconds. That should be more than enough time. Because remember, we're not only taking those buildings out, we're theming everything. This guy is also doing some work. So we want to give a little bit of extra time to make sure everything gets cleared. So then on the trigger area, new logic connection when exited by player any. We will start the time delayer. And when this delay goes off, then we'll play back the other set of replayers. So on the time delayer, a new logic connection when the delay is completed. We will play back that replayer. On the time delayer, new logic connection when the delay is completed. We will play back that replayer to put the Jack-in-the-Box in there. On the time delayer, new logic connection on delay completed. Play back that replayer. And don't worry, we are almost done. New logic connection on delay completed. Play back the one at Tomorrowland. Hopefully you can see this logic is pretty straightforward. It's just there's a little bit of it to hook up because we have all these replayers. And I'm using multiple replayers rather than one so that we can restore the park a little at a time. Because I think it's kind of fun to see the park slowly being put back the way it needs to be as you progress through the toy box. Also lets the player know that that's what they need to be doing. Kind of confirms their actions in destroying those cauldrons. Playback. Okay. And one more connection that I want to make, and this is just a fun little thing. So on the trigger area, a new logic connection when exited by player any. We're going to come over to our sound effect generator, and under the vocal category, we're looking for the crazy laugh. Okay. And that is all of the logic that's needed to transform the park. So let's come out of the editor And before we test it, let's save our toy box one more time. And this is the one that I loaded, so let's load up the... This is the one I saved earlier. Let's go ahead and save that one. We'll overwrite it, and then we'll try it out and be done. Like I said, we couldn't come this far without hooking up that logic and seeing how the park transforms. Alright, so let's enter that trigger area now. Nothing should happen because everything should be done on exit. So we load up the toy box, here we are, and let's go have a day at Disneyland. And you can see all of the terrain has changed, all the plants are changing, the replayers are playing back everything, and there we go. This is the Halloween version of Disneyland, and isn't that cool? So it's not very difficult to do the transformation. It just takes a little bit of planning and a little bit of effort. But boy, the results are worth it. Look at that. Isn't that neat? I like it. And that looks really, really cool. And there we go. We now have a Disneyland toy box that transforms into a Halloween version. And make sure you do not save the toy box in this state. We want to restore the toy box to what we just saved. So you can play around with this, but don't save it. Next time, we're going to start working on the logic in each area for breaking the spell and restoring that area of the park. Before you go, leave a comment and let me know what you think of the transformation logic and the Halloween version of the toy box. And if you're enjoying this series of videos, please like and subscribe for more toy boxes like this. Thank you for watching and have a great day.